Hi guys, and welcome to Dreaming in Fibre. I am Sarah, your host from sarahstexturecrafts.com. That's where you can find all of the show notes for today's show, and you can also find all of the products that I talk about as well. So let's get cracking, shall we? Well, it's September. I can't quite believe it's September already. How was August for you? It was super busy here, so I thought we would crack on and talk about what was happening in the shop this month and the month going forward, and then shows and things like that, and then I'll show you what I've been working on as well. So to start with, I'm going to quickly say thank you ever so much to everybody who bought from the mini skein update, which was last week, I think. Yeah, it was last week. That went amazingly well, so thank you. I introduced 19 new colours, and I think, yeah, I'm sold out of quite a few and very low on others. So I'm going to show you, and just to give you an idea of how much I dyed and how much there is left. So if you do want any, this is your reason to go and check out sarahstexturecrafts.com right now. Right now. Okay, this is it. This is the box that was full. I mean, it was full to the brim of mini skeins, and I have that much left, which is still a fair few. You know, as you can see, there's still a fair few in there, but that's, I would say, what, we've got a quarter left, so we did all right. So thank you. So if you want to stop, go to sarahstexturecrafts.com. I completely understand. Put me on pause, and then you can come back. If you're not interested in those, but you're interested in 100 gram skeins, then have I got a good update for you. Next week on the 15th, I will be launching my next update, which is introducing a new base. This is a brand new base for Sarah's Texture Crafts, and it's one I'm really, really excited about. This base is 4-ply, and it's called my Finest base. This is 100% superwash Falkland wool, and it's Falkland merino wool. These fleeces are hand selected by a UK specialist and then spun here locally in Devon. It is beautiful. It's so soft and squishy. You wouldn't think it Falkland merino, you would think it a good South African or Australian merino, which is essentially where the finer merinos tend to come from. But this is magnificent. I have a limited stock because it is essentially a small processed yarn. It means that there is not a huge amount to buy from each time a lot is made up, and sometimes the lots can change a little, so it means that when a new lot comes in, I will need to get myself a test skein, make sure that it's similar. If not, I either won't buy or I'll call it something different. So there's a lot more involved in picking this particular yarn than buying from a normal yarn stockist, but the results are definitely worth it. It is a joy to knit up, and I've knit up a little scarf pattern. This is called the Serene pattern, and you can find it on Ravelry now as a download for you, and it's just a real nice, easy, simple knit that you can throw on over your autumn coat. Although if the weather remains as warm as it has been at the beginning of September, you might not need it till October. But it's a really quick knit as well, and this particular pattern takes up about 34 grams, so you can get a couple of these out of each skein of yarn. So you can see I've got plenty left from my test skein. So it also makes it perfect gift knitting. So let me show you the colours that I've got. Put that to one side. I've got River Ride, which I showed you before. That's an existing colour. This is Chai. This is a colour that was only ever put on mini skeins. I've now released it on yarn. You can see the uptake between this and the Sparkle Merino base, which I've used this colour on in mini skeins. The uptake on this is very much more saturated. You can see those sort of orangey reds, orangey pinky reds have come up quite bright there, and they're much more muted on the sparkle base I've got. But actually I think that works out really nicely for this, and it will work out really nicely for this pattern as well, for the serene scarf. So that's Chai. I've got Fish Pond, which is an oldie but a goodie. So you've got flashes of the orange for the koi carp. I've got an oldie but a very favoured goodie, Final Frontier. I know a few of you are asking for this on 100 grams 4-ply. Here it is. And it's taken up that colour really, really nicely. I've got Newsprint, which I've done a few times, and that's red and blacks on the white. All of these techniques are a tweed dye technique. So in other words, if you're familiar with sort of speckled yarn, then that's how it will knit. So you'll get a few stitches of colour before it breaks to the next colour. So it will knit a bit like that, which is quite nice, I think, and perfect for this serene scarf. I've got Dreamy, which is a brand new colour that I released sorry, excuse me, last week on mini skeins. It's now on 4-ply for you. I've got Spirited, which is a colour I've done before, but again only on mini skeins, so this is its first outing on 100 gram. So in love with that one. And then the last three are new colours. I've got Echoes, which is quite interesting, the way the colour breaks. It does all this kind of dotting. Let me see if I can get close enough. Okay, can you see that? You can get all of this dotting of colours that you kind of aren't really expecting, but all put together they'll knit up really lovely. So the Echoes. And I've got Patriot. I was asked by quite a few people if I could do a sort of Union Jack colour, and I kind of wanted to avoid the kind of bright in your face, very obvious Union Jack reference. So instead I've gone for a bit more of a muted kind of vintage look. So this is called Patriot, and I think that will knit up lovely. And you can use it still as a reference to the Union Jack, or if you're in the States you can use it for the flag over there, or if you're in France you could use it for the French flag as well, a more vintage look. And then finally, I know a few of you have been eyeing up a yarn that I was knitting a hat out of, and I'd called it Dark Crystal. So if you follow me on Instagram you will have seen it. Well, this is it on this lovely Finest Fork Ply base. Fork Ply? My lovely Finest 4-ply base. And as you can see, it's much more saturated than the hat was, and I will put in a picture of that here. So yeah, you can see that this has come up much more saturated, but I think it's still going to be a joy to work with. So that's called Dark Crystal. These are going to go live on the 15th of September over at sarahstexturecrafts.com, and there's 6 skeins in each colourway. So if you do want quite a few for either a shawl or for the majority of a sweater, then that's what I have, and that's all I have. I won't have any more of this base until there's some more made. So at this moment in time I think we're waiting possibly for the new clip next year, so grab what you can. So that's it for the update. There's also something else I wanted to address in the shop. I put a blog post out that went out to my newsletter folks last week with a shop update, and it was entitled Fibre ... the long kiss goodbye, and I thought I would kind of address that for those of you who had heard sort of rumours about it, or were on the newsletter and wanted maybe a little bit more clarification. Try to be as clear as possible, as always. So if you've got any questions, just email me via the website sarahstouchercrafts.com and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Okay, so essentially I'm going to stop working with fibre. At the moment that means I'm selling off and getting rid of a few different bases, so let me tell you more about those. Okay, so first of all, that's my commercial merino. It's also any natural fibre base silks and plant fibres as well, so those are all going to disappear as they sell down in the shop, and quite a few of you will have grabbed some of that in the sale. There's still some left in the sale, so if you want to check out the sales section, please do. I do have base left, Blueface Leicester I think, and merino, and maybe a couple of other bases that I can hand dye, and they will probably do, they'll probably sell out better or more quickly for me if I dye them. So I'm going to do one last enormous batch of fibre, and that will, they'll go to the shows first. I've got a long list of shows to tell you about for the autumn season, and then by mid-November they should be up in the shop. So if you're after hand-dyed fibre, then please keep an eye out for those, because that could possibly and probably will be my last fibre update. What's the reason behind me giving up fibre? It's my allergies. I could not keep going really anymore with that. Basically I had a couple of incidents over the summer whilst I was prepping for the shows to come and for Fibre East as well, and it just meant that I just got to the point where I thought, you know, this is being a bit silly really. I shouldn't really be taking this much medication before I handle fibre. And so I kind of wrestled, and you know, I've been wrestling with the idea of having to give this up for probably about 6 months, maybe to a year. I've been talking about it on the podcast, and it's always been it will happen in the future. Well, now the time has kind of come really. So yeah, as I say, I'm looking to have all of that kind of sold out and off the shelves by the end of December. So if you could buy what you need, that would be absolutely fantastic. It would save me sort of offloading it and you know, possibly binning any extras, that, you know, bits left over, that kind of thing. What was really weird about this, and I do believe a bit in kind of signs, and I know that sounds very kind of weird, you know, I'm supposed to be a business person and here I am looking for signs and things, but the way this business has worked for me is that over the years there have been a few instances here and there where there have been probably a collection of 3, 4, maybe 5 things that have all happened at once, and they've all kind of pointed me in a new direction, or a sort of evolution of Sarah's Touch of Crafts, which is why if you've followed me throughout the years you will have seen the changes and what I've been doing, and different products and trying and new things, because they've all come from these things that have happened, and that's kind of how I fell into wool in the first place. And recently I've had these few things happening again, and it's all around fibre and giving it up. And one of the biggest and most positive things is the moment I sort of realised that I was really going to have to think about giving it up, actually fibre really started to slow down on the selling. Now, I wasn't doing anything less than I would normally do, so I wasn't producing less, I wasn't advertising it less particularly, I wasn't talking about it less, it was still there at the shows, but customers seemed to start buying more yarn, and they were buying yarn over fibre. And it's always been that I was known as the fibre girl, and then this year that suddenly shifted, and now people are buying more yarn than they've ever bought from me before, from month to month. So it kind of was sort of perfect timing really. So I decided this month that you know, I would definitely give up the fibre side of things and go straight into yarn, and it's meant that I've been able to do that massive mini skein update and then come up with playing with new bases and also bringing new colours on bases as well, but also as well bringing colours onto bases that I haven't had time to dye. You know, I know that I had a few people who were asking me about Final Frontier, for example, probably like 3 months ago, and this is the first chance I've had to put it on 100g skeins. I've only had it on mini skeins up until now. I mean, I think I had a few DK, but I didn't have it on 4-ply, and just my schedule was just so crazy that I just couldn't fit it in. Well, of course, now giving up the fibre has made a lot of difference, so it means that I can start keeping up with the yarn and coming up with new colourways as well, and making sure that I've got the stock that you want when you want it. So I'm excited about that. I have had a few questions from people who were asking, well, you know, what does that mean? Does it mean that you'll eventually give up yarn as well, or is that coming in the near future? Should I be worried? No, don't panic. I have no intentions of giving up yarn at this stage. I'm waiting for all of this fibre to disappear from my house, and then what I can do is I can concentrate on making sure that all of my eczema and my breathing difficulties are well under control, and then I can see, you know, once it kind of plateaus, I can see whether I still am having reactions, and if so, is that to yarn? You know, I can pinpoint it much better once I've allowed the fibre to kind of disappear from my life, and then I can see, you know, what's affecting it, how it's affecting it, and so on. So at this point, I'm not anticipating giving up dyeing yarn. I also had a couple of people who asked if I would be working on any more spinning books. The answer is yes, possibly, because the idea of giving up bulk dyeing fibre means that I might actually be able to process very small amounts to, you know, possibly write another book or do more tutorials, that kind of thing. And I'll probably have to work with other indie dyers if I can't dye it myself. I don't know, we'll see. I'm hoping that I will be able to personally continue with the spinning stuff, just, you know, on a personal level. But anyway, there we go. So there are no plans to sort of give up tomorrow. Sarah's Texture Crafts is going to be here for a while. I'm going to carry on with the yarn. I have more scope, more time for the yarn now, so I'm hoping that will make a big difference. So thank you to all of you who've bought fibre in the past, and I'm sorry that I have to kind of give that up. It really does break my heart actually to have to do it, but one of those things. So on a more positive note, that means lots more yarn in my future. I'm hoping to work on new bases. I have lots here that I'm ready to sort of test. I'm just waiting for prices, because it might be that in the new year we have to think about price increasing, so I'll need to work out whether I can actually afford these new bases, whether we just stick to what we've got for the time being and bring you lots of new colour instead. So there's lots of playing around and stuff that I have to do behind the scenes, but certainly lots more coming up before Christmas break. Even though I've got a huge show schedule, I've got a few new patterns still to come out, and I'm going to be dyeing quite a lot of double knit and Aran, because I realise I'm very short of that in the shop. Speaking of shows, let's talk you through what shows I've got coming up. Okay, I've got my notes with me. Got quite a few shows coming up, so are you ready for this? All of the details for these are on my events page, which you can find up on the left hand corner of sarahstexturecrafts.com. There's an events button, press that and you can see the diary from month to month. 30th of September, 3 bags full, that's in Cornwall. 8th to the 9th of October is Woolly Weekend, that's in that's south of Devon, borders of Cornwall. Again, details for that on the website. The 13th to the 15th of October is Craft for Crafters, that's at the Bath and West Showground, so that's Somerset. 22nd of October I will be at the annual general meeting for the West Country Embroiderers, that's a private event. I'm going to take a week off just so that I can stay sane and probably sleep a bit between the 23rd and the 30th of October. So those details will be on the front page as well when I go, just so that you know the shop will still remain open. We'll have lots of goodies for you, but I just won't be around until after the 30th. The 5th and 6th of November is Stitch Fest, which is a new show here in Devon. And then the 12th of November is the Geeky Puffin Palooza, which is a knitting retreat, which is open to the public in the afternoon. Details for that on the website. That's in Surrey. And then sometime after then, I might have to have a lie down. So yeah, if you see me towards the later shows, just give me a little bit of a poke if I look like I'm sleeping. But yeah, that's my show diary. So I am madly producing for those. The other thing that happened this month as well, which I wanted to give a quick mention to, was one of my collaborations came out, and that's with Toft UK. So if you pop on over to their website, you might be very lucky and still find a couple of skeins left of their hand dyed. It was a massive project they were doing with, I think there were probably about 10 of us, 12 of us all together. Myself, Hedgehog Fibres, Easy Knits, I think Jenny from All About Yarn did a batch as well, Skein Queen, so there were quite a few people. So very honoured to be amongst those, very famous names as well. And we were paid to do the dyeing for X amount of yarn in a colourway or several colourways over the batch that we were given. And then they were shipped off to Toft UK headquarters, where they packaged them up, and they've created, I think there are 3 different animal options you can have. I dyed specifically for the chameleon pattern, but I think there are a couple of other patterns, so go over there and check it out. I think I might be wrong, they might have completely sold out, but I will insert pictures just after I finish speaking here so that you can see that collaboration. Worked really hard on that and was really pleased with how it came out, and from what I understand the guys loved it, and it was one of the first chameleons that they crocheted up, so I was really pleased that they liked that. I think that's probably it for today. I've not knitted a huge amount since I last saw you because I've been suffering a bit with RSI. I think I've been working on quite a few patterns like this one, so I've got a hat and a cowl due to come out, and then I've just finished another hat, so I'll show you those when they go live. But yeah, that's kind of it for today, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to wish you well. I hope that you have enjoyed the summer. It's been really nice here, and it's still really nice here in early September, so I'm going to catch you in October, where I probably do a very quick video for you, and then hopefully after that I'll be able to update you on the shows, even if it's just, you know, sort of a photo video. Yeah, so I will catch you next time. Hope you're keeping well, as I say, and I'll see you soon, guys. Okay, keep dreaming in fibre. Cheers.